Hey everybody, I'm out by the creek, which is frozen over. And today's a twofer. I thought maybe I should make two separate videos, but I think I'll just make one and I'll put both of my thoughts in one. She's trying to walk on the water. I'm telling you, you almost got to see her go through because there's water underneath there. And she knows it. Hey, I hope you'll join me. Got two thoughts for you. Two videos, price of one. Here we go. Well, before we get started, I had to go in and get me some warmer britches on. Got my snowsuit. Not that there's any snow, but who wants to stand here for 10 minutes in regular pants and get cold? Shall we move on? I think we shall. Well, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Randy, Ragamuffinpiper. Get my pipe lit here, and got a couple of thoughts for you. We're out in the south pasture next to the old, this is kind of the mother of birch trees here on the property. May not look big in the video, but that's a big birch tree. It's a big one. So welcome back for a few minutes. I've got my M.M Emerald here, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And in the Emerald, I have some black Cordial. Now I think I've tried Lane and Suttliff both have a black Cordial. There's no bloopers here, they're all included. The Suttliff and the Lane both make a black Cordial, and I think that, for me at least, I think the tobacco leaf and the contents of the Suttliff version might be just a little bit better than the Lane, but I lose track all the time. I try to write that kind of stuff down, and I always get mixed up, and about half the time I ordered the wrong one. I'm like, that ain't right. So I do believe that this last order, this was Suttliff Black Cordial, and that particularly is my more favorite of the two. But now, for lack of better description, we'll call this an honest lighter. It's one of these butane, you know, you've seen it. It's got the little tools in it, little butane lighter, and I know a lot of you have them, and they work really good when they're working. And there might be some trouble and some confusion on how to charge them. I've had to learn how to purge them, and I'll show you what I use right here to purge them. I use a golf tee because it's wood and it's blunt. It won't hurt that little, I don't know if that's brass, but that little injection tube that sticks up for you to mount your can on to charge it. You don't want to put any marks in that, so don't put anything metal in there to depress that to let the air out. But if you've never done that, you need to turn it upside down, press that little nozzle in, and let all the air out so you don't lock them up, which I have done many times. I've got them locked up, which was one of the problems with this one. Now, I've had one for years. This is the newer one I just opened. I think I actually won this one from Greg Tunnel Take, and I left it in the box because I had a working one for quite a long time, and it just kind of quit on me. And the little tutorial this morning is that I got to fiddling with it, you know, as a guy that spent a lot of his time in the shop and working on things, everything you can think of, and electronics to big dozers, and you get curious, don't you? I get curious. So I got it out and I purged it again, and what I found was the very first few seconds were butane, but after that it had a lot of air locked up underneath the butane, however that works in there. And so I emptied it completely, sit there and hold it. It took a long time to get all the air out of it, and I recharged it with butane, and guess what? It didn't light. So I thought, well, great, I did it again, and it wasn't any help. Well, on the bottom of this, and I'll take a close-up picture and put it up for here. On the bottom of it, you'll see there's a little black wheel around where you put the propane in. And I'm sure almost everybody knows this, if not 99.9% of you. But that wheel is how you adjust the flame. Up, down, it's got a plus and a minus. And little cogs on the outside so you can grab it with a knife or something thin and turn it one way or another. Turn the flame up and down. Now, I'm kind of it's common for me that I don't keep the flame very high because I don't want to burn my the rim of my pipes. But I thought, well, I'll just try turning it all the way up and see if it'll light. I turned it about 2 or 3 times, nothing happened, and finally I turned it, and the flame came out about 3 inches long. I'm like, well, we found a place where it'll work, and it worked consistently. So then I turned it down, tried to turn it down, and it wouldn't work again. So then I fiddled. What I found is there are dead spots in that fuel feed, in that adjustment. If I turn it just right, it stops lighting. It won't light anymore. So I turned it down to where I like it, it won't light. Turn it all the way up, and I got a torch, you know, butane torch. So I turned it up and down, and I finally fiddled with it enough. It took me about 10 minutes where I found a spot where it will work, and it's at a kind of a position where I can use it. So some of you have had problems with your little honest lighter going bad like that or getting it to light. Remember to purge it. Remember to purge it, but then fiddle with that little adjustment wheel on the bottom and see if you can't get that flame all the way up and then come back down to a more acceptable flame. This is not the first time. I got bugs in my coffee. I'm not about to throw it out. They just have to share. But, you know, I usually don't adjust them often, but this one needed some fiddling with. So over the weekend, part B here, part deux. Oh no, I'm not multilingual. Well, official languages. Part 2. I was at church last week, and something kind of struck me that was said. And sometimes I hear things, and you know, they kind of hit me in a different way, so I have to write them down. And if you hear the word church or something religious in your back, well, I'm going to tune out right here because I don't go for all that. Hang on just 1 second, because this is not preaching, and I think all of us could benefit from this thought. But we're talking about being a rebel. And the message itself was about the whole gospel story being, you know, almost a rebel story, albeit in a grace-filled way. It certainly did not go along with the norms of the time, which is kind of the definition of rebel, isn't it? You kind of buck the system. Are you one of those that kind of thinks, yeah, that describes me. I like to buck the system. Well, here's some homework for you this holiday season. I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we could buck the system this holiday? And by that, I don't mean stick it to the man. No, we're not talking about that kind of bucking. What I'm talking about is kindness. I know we talked about this a little bit so far, but this really kind of stuck out. You know, somewhere maybe you'll be in a position where you could be impatient. You could be questioning somebody's motives. You could complain. And what I'm saying is, wouldn't it be an interesting experiment this holiday season to buck the system, to be a rebel, and to be extra nice when it wasn't expected. To be extra patient when you really could have not been. When it was warranted for you to lose your patience, and somehow you just had more to give. Maybe buck the system by buying a gift for somebody that you see every day, or maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and you get them a little card, and you hand them a card as you pass them by. I'm not talking about things that'll cost you a lot of money or even a lot of time, but just an attitude adjustment. Let's rebel against the busy and the impatient. Maybe it is a little bit of preaching, but not the kind that you were expecting, huh? Maybe there's that neighbor kid that always drives his bike across your grass and you just want to yank him off the bike. That's me. We used to have this little lawn in the front yard, and we lived in a circle, and this one kid, we had a big sidewalk, and he'd ride across the sidewalk, and he'd ride right across the edge of my grass and break the sprinkler head off. At least once a week. You know, eventually I befriended those kids, and no, they didn't stop riding across the grass, but then I liked them too much to care about it. And that's what I'm getting at. You may not change somebody's life, but you might change somebody's attitude for a few minutes. You might actually make them smile or something like that. So if you're a rebel like me, let's use that to the advantage of kindness these holidays, and be a rebel for kindness. Be a rebel for generosity. That's what I'm looking for. And you know why? Well, because it's uncommon, I think, but also because it gives you something out of it too. You know the old saying, the giver of the present gets as much as the person that receives it? Well, consider this a present that you're going to go around handing out. Won't you be the rebel? Oh, a black dog's on patrol over here. She's watching. She's the lookout. So I got my black coffee, enjoying my Missouri M.M Emerald here and some black Cordial. Out here in the South pasture now, you might say, why don't you shoot from there? Why don't you video out there? Well, because in the wintertime, I normally can't walk out here, but the snow has almost, not quite, all melted. But I think starting tomorrow and the next day, that's going to change. So looks like snow's coming back to the menu. Well, I thought, well, today we'll come out here and just enjoy a little bit, and you know, we won't be able to see it for a month or two unless I want to trudge through a bunch of snow, which is not on my menu. So have a grand week, all of you. Make it the best one yet. Thanks so much for being part of the channel. We have a ball, don't we? And I love to hear from you guys when you comment on there, and you know, maybe you have some thoughts and ideas about the lighter. Share them in the comments, and we'll have a discussion. Maybe you have a comment about black Cordial. Maybe you've never tried it before. I don't know. It's almost cherry. You know what I mean? It's not cherry. It's just kind of a rich flavor. And I think that maybe vanilla and cherry, and I think both of them are so subtle that they don't really either one stick out a whole lot. It's just it's just more like a treat, but not a sweet one. So it's rich. And I like that. You might have an idea on how to be a rebel, and maybe share something down in the comments that you did and how it turned out. I don't really care, but it sounds like fun to me, and that's how I'm going to do it this holiday season. Merry Christmas to you all. We'll see you again real soon. This is Randy, Ragamuffin Piper. God bless you.